You feel it, don't you? That quiet exhaustion from being the good one, the hyper-competent problem solver who holds everything together. You're the emotional thermostat for every room you enter, but nobody ever asks if you're cold. It's a silent burden you've carried for so long, you might not even recognize it as a weight anymore. Most people see these traits as strengths, but they never understand the hidden cost that comes with them, trapping them in a cycle of burnout and unfulfilling relationships. 99% of people miss the final trait we'll discuss, which is the most deceptive one of all, and it's the key to finally understanding why you feel so capable, yet so empty. Invisible antennas. Let's talk about a superpower you probably have. When you walk into a room, a meeting, a family dinner, a party, you can feel it instantly. You can sense the subtle shift in energy, the unspoken tension between two people, the flicker of disappointment in someone's eyes before they even speak. It's like you have these invisible antennas constantly scanning, gathering emotional data from the environment. You're not just listening to what people say, you're decoding the micro messages hidden in their tone of voice, their posture, the way they hold their hands. You know who's having a bad day, who's feeling insecure, and who needs to be placated, all within the first few seconds. This isn't just intuition, it's a highly sophisticated threat detection system, and you learn to build it as a child. When you grow up in an environment where a parent's mood is unpredictable and potentially volatile, your safety and emotional well-being depend on your ability to predict their state of mind. You learn to read the cues, the sound of their footsteps on the stairs, the way they put their keys on the counter, the slight narrowing of their eyes. These were your early warning signs. A happy parent meant a safe environment. An unhappy parent meant you needed to become invisible, or become a peacemaker, or become a perfect, praiseworthy child to de-escalate the situation. Your survival depended on your ability to anticipate and manage their emotional needs. So you became an expert. You fine-tuned those antennas until they were flawless. The problem is, you never learned how to turn them off. Now, as an adult, you carry this hypervigilance into every interaction. It makes you an incredibly empathetic friend, a thoughtful colleague, and a deeply considerate partner. People love that about you. They feel seen and understood in your presence. But the cost is immense. You absorb the emotional states of everyone around you, becoming an unwilling sponge for their anxiety, their anger, their sadness. You feel responsible for managing those feelings, for making sure everyone is comfortable and happy, often at the direct expense of your own peace. You might leave a social gathering feeling utterly drained, not from the interaction itself, but from the immense invisible emotional labor you were performing the entire time. This constant external focus makes it incredibly difficult to tune into your own internal world. When you've spent a lifetime prioritizing and analyzing the feelings of others, your own emotions can feel foreign, muted, or confusing. Someone might ask you, "How are you feeling?" And you genuinely might not know the answer. You're so practiced at reflecting other people's needs back at them that your own inner landscape has become unfamiliar territory. The very skill that kept you safe as a child now prevents you from connecting with the most important person in the room, yourself. It's a profound and lonely paradox, to be an expert in human emotion, yet a stranger to your own. Reclaiming your energy begins with the conscious choice to sometimes point those powerful antennas inward. Mirrored identity. This leads us directly to the next unusual trait, which is a consequence of those perfectly tuned antennas. If your primary function as a child was to monitor and manage a parent's emotional state, your own identity became secondary. It became reactive instead of proactive. You didn't have the space to figure out who you were. You were too busy figuring out who you needed to be for them. You needed to be the quiet one when they were stressed. You needed to be the brilliant, high-achieving one when they wanted to show you off. You needed to be the low-maintenance, easygoing one when they were overwhelmed. You became a master chameleon, flawlessly adapting your colors to match the background of their needs. This is what I call a mirrored identity. Nerd. Your sense of self-worth wasn't cultivated from within. It was reflected back at you through the eyes of the narcissistic parent. Your value was conditional. It was tied to your performance, your compliance, your achievements. Good grades didn't bring you a sense of personal pride. They brought you the temporary relief of parental approval. Keeping the peace didn't make you feel calm. It made you feel safe from their potential wrath or disappointment. You learned that your worth was not inherent. It was something to be earned over and over again every single day. This creates a fundamental insecurity at the very core of your being. You might not even recognize it because it's been there for so long. It just feels like a constant low-grade hum of anxiety, a quiet voice that whispers, "Am I doing enough? Am I good enough?" As an adult, this manifests as an intense need for external validation. You might find yourself in a pattern of people-pleasing, unable to say no because the thought of disappointing someone feels catastrophic. It triggers that old primal fear that love and safety will be withdrawn. You might be the person who is always complimented on your work ethic, but it's because you're terrified of what will happen if you're not seen as perfectly competent. In relationships, you might subconsciously seek out partners who mirror that same dynamic, people whose approval you feel you have to constantly earn. You become what you think they want you to be, losing yourself in the process, only to feel a profound sense of emptiness and resentment later on. The deepest challenge of a mirrored identity is the fear of being truly seen. If your entire life has been a performance designed to win approval, the idea of letting someone see behind the curtain is terrifying. What if they see the real you? The you that isn't perfect, the you that has needs, the you that is tired, and they don't like what they find? This fear keeps you from forming truly authentic, intimate connections. You present a carefully curated version of yourself to the world, one that is capable, strong, and endlessly giving. But inside, there's a longing to just be, to be loved not for what you do, but for who you are. The journey to healing this is the slow, courageous process of turning away from the mirror of others' expectations and beginning to build your own reflection, one based on your own values, your own desires, and your own inherent, non-negotiable worth. Perceived competence. This brings us to the final and most insidious trait, the one that is so often mistaken for a strength that it hides in plain sight. This is the trait that keeps the entire system running, both for the outside world and within yourself. It's the paradox of perceived competence. On the outside, you are the epitome of success and reliability. You are the one who gets things done. You likely excelled in school, you are highly responsible at work, and you are the person your friends and family turn to in a crisis. You have a reputation for being strong, resilient, and unshakable. You manage complex projects, navigate difficult social situations with grace, and seem to have an endless capacity to handle pressure. People look at you and see pure competence. They admire you, they rely on you, and a part of you thrives on this because it's the only value